This is a guide to working with activation in Motif. We're working with the Motiflix dataset, which includes the kind of events you'd see with a video streaming service. We're going to activate when the user adds a favorite more than once, which is pretty straightforward. So we'll start by doing a match on the signup event, which will align all our users on the signup. We're going to follow that with anything or nothing, followed by favorites add. Okay, this is pretty straightforward. We're going to make favorites add optional since we want to include obviously people that didn't activate to that. Now if we want to add another favorites add event after this, we need to add the double arrows, anything or nothing, and then favorites add again. But what we see is that we're getting an error. And basically we can't reference the same event more than once without giving it a tag. And so in this case, we need to know which favorites add we're referring to. So I'm going to call this favorites add first favorite. And then I'll put parentheses around the event. So now it has to match to the event favorites add. And now for the second one, I'm going to call it second favorite. And put parentheses around it. Also make it optional. Okay, now this is working. So now I'm matching on sign up, followed by anything or nothing, followed by the first favorite, anything or nothing, followed by the second favorite. Now it's kind of hard to see my events here. I wanted to show you the sequence model. So that's anything or nothing we didn't give a tag to. So it's just called unnamed tag here. If I click this, it'll collapse it. And now I see my unnamed tag followed by the first favorite. And then there's going to be some events here that are unlabeled because I haven't labeled this one, but I can collapse that and I'll see my second favorite in those cases. If I want to, I can give those globs, the match anything or nothing, a label if I want. So I'll call this pre-activation. And remember, nothing in the parentheses means I'm matching everything. And now down here in my sequence model, it has a name. I can collapse it again and just clean this up so I can take a look at it. And it's nice because it also collapses it in my visualizations. If I'm really focused on the events that are going to happen, between the first favorite and the second favorite, maybe I do want to just collapse that pre-activation into a single event and really focus on the things now that are happening here. And that's what I love about this barcode feature. If I go to the view options here, I can pick outcome and choose that second favorite as my outcome. And it's going to start highlighting things that are good predictors of that outcome. So in this case, adding a favorite is a good predictor. The first favorite means you're more likely to add the second favorite, which makes a lot of sense. Another thing I can do is align these events on a particular event. So if I align them on the first favorite, now I'm going to see all the things that happen after that first favorite. Most people go to the home page. Some people go to continue watching, which is interesting. They're starting, picking up something where they left off. I'd be curious to know if they are continuing watching the thing they just favorited, because that'd be an interesting pattern to dig into and try to reinforce. Okay, so that's a little bit about barcode, a little bit about the sequence model. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the results. So when I go to the outcome tab, I have second favorite as my outcome. I can see that about 50% of people get to that outcome, but unfortunately only 15% get there within 4 weeks. So it's taking people quite a lot of time to get there. I'm going to go to the plot and look at this more in depth. So we provide these nice kind of built-in values for you. So for sign up to second favorite duration, that's exactly what we want. We want to know the time it takes to get to that second favorite. Now, there's a bunch of small values in here. You can see the fractional decimal seconds or days. So I'm going to bin this to make it easier to understand. I'm going to use an auto strategy for that. And you can start to see that this is binning by, every 8 days, which feels pretty good. And then I'm going to use cumulate because I want to look at that in aggregate. So what matters to me is how quickly people are getting there. Right now I'm getting the count of people, so I want to normalize this. You saw in a lot of previous videos, move myself out of the way, I've done that without null values. And if I do that, you're going to see that at the end I get to 100%, but we know only 50% of people actually did this. So I'm going to do it with null values so I can see that piece of data in the plot. So you can see here at 168 days, still only 50% of people have had two favorites. The average is right here at 49 days, so it takes people over a month to add that second favorite. So if this is truly our activation event, then maybe we want to figure out how to accelerate that behavior to get people really using this feature that gets them hooked on Motiflix. Great, so we have a plot here of our key activation event and the time it takes to get there, an aggregate plot. We learned a little bit about barcode and how you can align on things before or after a key event. You can use the outcome to see what things are predictive of the outcome you're going after. And we learned how to use tags to be able to reference an event more than once. In our case, adding a second favorite because that was our key activation event. I hope that helps.